A lot of you guys know who John Crist is. He's one of the most successful comedians in the genre right now, and someone I've gotten to know over the past couple of years. You guys know how funny he is. His videos on social media go viral as soon as he puts them up. They're hilarious. They're so well written, so well devised, and so well delivered and executed. But what you may not know is the man beneath all of those jokes. I didn't. And when he came in here to do the Marty Smith podcast here at Outsider Studios, I didn't know what I was going to get. I thought we'd cut up and laugh a little bit, share some jokes and how he got into comedy and what it's like to be completely exposed up on that stage in front of all of those people who came to see one person, you. That's not what I got. We got a little bit of that, but what we got was a man who is vulnerable, a man who's learned a lot of very difficult lessons, and someone that I admire for the vulnerability with which he shares that story. You'll be blown away. I was. So without further ado, here is comedian John Crist on the Marty Smith podcast here at Outsider Studios. All right, it is an absolute pleasure to have my buddy John Crist in here with us. We have conversed many times. We've had conversations of depth on the telephone. This is the first time we've ever seen each other in person.
That's true, now that I think about it.
With our own eyes. And you won me immediately by coming in here with a Skittles hat on.
Let's go, baby.
I mean, you got this whole racing thing going on.
I got it, dude.
How did the racing thing happen?
I mean, I've been into we used to go to races and stuff when we were little. And I think that people don't misunderstand about like NASCAR and racing. It's huge.
Yeah, it is.
And it's not getting less pop. Maybe it's a little, but it's gigantic still. And I don't know why people think it's not cool.
Well,
I think it's becoming cool again. You think?
So I lived it.
The whole way.
I was completely immersed in it from 1998.
All right, you were all the way
until
in.
2014.
Okay, yeah.
It was my whole life.
Because of your job?
My job.
Okay, yeah.
I covered NASCAR racing.
Oh,
right?
Man.
So from the Dale Earnhart, Jeff Gordon rivalry heyday, the absolute apex of that rivalry.
Right after Richard Petty.
Richard Petty retired in 92.
Okay, yeah. All right.
Richard Petty's last NASCAR race was Jeff Gordon's first NASCAR race.
Oh, my. Dude.
How about that?
Yeah.
It's way inside baseball. So I lived the absolute rocket ship trajectory of this thing, and then I also
So it wasn't before that?
Well, it really started in the early 90s.
With who?
But Dale. I mean,
becoming like this
Dale
is like
and Rusty. Dale Earnhardt and Rusty Wallace had a rivalry that was important to the sport. But they strapped a rocket ship to their ass when Jeff Gordon came in 1994 and won the Brickyard 400 and a Coca-Cola 600.
And he was like young.
He was taking Dale Earnhardt's thunder. And Dale didn't like it.
No.
Every single redneck.
Yeah, no, we don't like
south
that.
of the Mason-Dixon.
We don't like that.
No, they couldn't have Dale being compromised.
Not by Jeff Gordon.
Not by an Indiana boy.
Especially not.
With a bad mustache and a mullet. So
then it became
brother.
And then you were on it because
huge
until ESPN.
Until ESPN lost the broadcast rights to NBC. That's when they moved me to college football and all the stuff I did.
Yeah. So, oh my, dude. I wish I would have been around in those days.
I do agree with you that it does feel like there is a resurgence in certain sectors. It's not a national sport.
Yeah, but look, dude, I went to the Nashville race. Yeah. This is like kind of during quarantine or kind of during like people aren't going to stuff. Dude, it's more people than you could imagine.
Yeah, oh yeah.
As long as you can see. And like a big artist would sell out like Bridgestone. It's like
25,000.
Yeah, you know how many people are at a NASCAR race?
A lot more than 25,000.
It's way more, dude.
Right.
Yeah,
but
way
the
more.
problem is, so here's the problem with it. The problem
I already know what you're going to say, but go.
In 2005, there was not only 200,000 people at Talladega, Alabama.
Okay, yeah.
the television rating was so astronomical. I mean, 8 million people were watching NASCAR races.
Versus like how many would watch like a Sunday Night Football? 13 or something?
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah, so there's still, but a significant amount of people. 8 million, yeah.
That's where people feel like the popularity has dwindled because television is everything in a sport that's not franchised and depends on corporate American dollars to make the wheel turn.
Yeah. And TV money is, I mean, you know this as well as anybody, is going away too. Well, not for live sports.
I work for ESPN.
My bad. You're right. Well, we just see that in social media, is that a lot of money is coming over this way.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, we'll pay, like the NHRA, like a bunch of different, they were like, hey, we'll pay you to come out and just do a thing at our race. All of them.
Same thing with artists, like country music artists, for sure, man. And that's one of the reasons for that is these venues, they just sit dormant. So if you can get bodies in seats, it's hard tickets.
And I think if anybody was like, you know, my age or younger, and like, because I see people wearing merch and stuff, you see people wearing stuff, like it's kind of coming back in a style way. You got to get that person there. Anyone, I went to Talladega and I was like, this is unbelievable. I have chills right now. Think about the first time I went to Talladega.
There's nothing like that place.
And I sponsor a very small driver that is like in the JEG series. Like if there's single A baseball, it might be below that.
So how'd that happen?
We just went out to the local track here in Nashville, and the kid he's 22 or something, and he didn't have anything on his car. And I go, I was like, hey, can I
put my face on your hood?
He goes, shit, how much money you got? He goes, yeah, sounds good. And we went down in there and then we just sponsored his car.
Yeah, I love it when people have passion for auto racing. I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, I love it so much, and I want it to thrive so much.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you feel like there's a little bit of a resurgence in it, because I think a lot of people feel otherwise and worry otherwise, but I know this for a fact. The people that are running the sport, they care so much about that damn sport. And they've made a lot of decisions. They're coming back to Nashville.
Of course.
They're going back to traditional markets. They're trying new things.
And awesome. Like we had the Grand Prix here in Nashville this weekend. It's like, hey, everybody's good doing creative with all businesses. Are like, hey, maybe let's try this. But you do know that those people are sincere about it. I stopped in like out of Knoxville. It's like JP's, NASCAR, and everything is in there, dude. This kid, no one loves racing more than those people, which is beautiful.
So growing up in Georgia, let's go down. Let's walk the path. There was a whole lot of little Crists running around.
Too many. There was a.
What size house did y'all grow up in?
Well, it's a big house, but it's not really like a practical big. It's just like a plantation type house, which my dad built it, and it was all. My dad's a pastor, one of 8 kids, and we just kept having kids. They kept building on.
So they just made another room.
Yeah. Hey, let's put over the garage. You want to build like a So we just kept building and building. So I'm third of 8 kids, and he grew up going to races and stuff. His parents took him to Daytona and stuff like that. But we live in Atlanta. We grew up in Lilburn, Georgia, is where it was, and then we're like, he was a pastor, so we were always in church.
How many days a week? Sunday morning, Sunday night,
morning,
Wednesday
and Sunday
night,
Wednesday,
Thursday choir practice,
maybe Friday youth group.
Oh, Friday
so I would
youth
say
group?
3 to 4. Yeah, and that's all we knew, you know.
Mama was the choir director.
Your mom.
And played the organ. So I in an opaque way lived that same deal, and we were holy youth group.
Yeah.
We were holy terrors.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
We tore the fellowship hall to pieces with basketball.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Well, there's no rules. Like, you know, when you see like, you know Brian Deegan, driver. So I met he was out at the race. I met his little son, and he's like a punk. Because when the dad is the boss, the kid is like, no one can get me in trouble.
Yep.
And that's how
he's
we
above
were.
the law.
Yeah, dude. So he was like running around doing whatever he wanted, and that's how we were at church, which is ironically kind of how I became a comedian, because I was doing the announcements in church. Like just the guy being like, hey, the church picnic is next weekend, or, you know, the food drive is on Saturday. But I didn't, the pastor at the church I started with in Colorado, he thought it was hilarious. So I was like, no, and that's what it mean now is like, one person says, "Oh, I can't believe you said that." I didn't really. It doesn't. I don't know. I don't really care. I mean, I do care. I don't want to offend people. I don't want to. But it's like, I'm cool with the guy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's good or bad.
So you're doing the church announcements. How old is little John doing the church announcements?
Oh
high
man,
school?
that was like college.
Okay.
Yeah, college. So I would but you don't understand. Like, when I first started comedy, because a lot of my comedy is around church culture and Christianity and Southern culture, just things like this.
Which is what makes it so funny.
Yeah. But at the start, it was like, okay, is this guy with us? Is he with us? Because if you
or not,
if you are making fun of NASCAR, we're like, yeah, but Marty loves NASCAR. No one cares about NASCAR more than him, and he's joking. I use humor to try to. I see, like, if you see issues with a sport, I see them and I make jokes about them because I'm angry at them like you are. But that's how I so I see a church and like a pastor that has like a Tesla, and I'm just like, not that that's, I don't know the guy's personal life, or maybe he bought it with investments, or I don't care. But I just go, that's tricky for me to rationalize. Yeah. So, but he's like, is this guy with us? Because if he's with us, he can say whatever he wants. But if he's against us, then that's very offensive. Because then you're on the outsider making fun of the most sacred things of Christianity.
How did you reconcile this, and how did you get on the right side of the Christian faith in the masses?
Well,
did you have to explain yourself?
No, I never have explained once. But everybody, like, you kind of just like, you're like, you can't know all those Bible verses or all this insider stuff if you're not in it.
Yep.
Because I remember Christian Mingle, when they first came out, their advertising slogan was "Find God's match for you," and there was like a little halo with it. I go, that is not what that's what a Christian thinks a Christian would say. That's not a Christian. And it turns out Christian Mingle's owned by Mormon Meetup and Silver Fox. They own a bunch of them. And I go, I knew it. That's not a real, you know what I'm saying? Somebody comes in and tries to talk about some subculture you're a part of, you can spot it.
For sure, Frold.
You know someone that's new to racing, or someone that's like So you can kind of, I think Christian is like, he's with us.
When did you make the transition to, all right, I'm going to stand up here in front of these people. Put me in the very first experience.
Okay, so I was doing like the announcements at church, and it was going good. But these are, my dad's like, it was my dad was the pastor, or the pastor were like, I knew everybody there. So it's kind of like a stacked audience.
Yeah, they're going to laugh at your
they're going to laugh
whether
no matter
they think it's funny or not.
So I was in Atlanta, and the Laughing Skull Lounge is like the comedy club. So you watch, my favorites would be like Cat Williams or, Brian Regan or whoever. I go, there's no way I could do that. But if you went to open mic, you would be like, I could probably do that. Or not I could probably do it, but like so I was going to open mic for like 3 weeks, and then I went and I go, hey, I want to do it. I'll never forget it. I told the lady that at the ticket, I go, can I do it? And she goes, you want to do comedy? I go, God, it makes me nervous to talk about. I go, yeah, her name is Betty, was the old lady's name. And she looked at her little notepad, and she goes, I'll never forget this. She goes, July 23rd, 2009. She goes, you got 2 minutes. And that was in a month from when I asked, and it was...
How'd that month go?
Horrible, dude, horrible. And
Anxiety?
I've been writing, but I had been writing for years. But I go, okay, it's like when you want to be a doctor, take the test, get into college, do the pre-med, do the practice, do the local. Then 10 years later, you have doctor in front of you. Comedy, you have comedy in front of your name from day one, but you're not. It takes you 10 years to be good. But they go, next comedian up, John Crist.
How'd it go?
Horrible, dude, horrible. It was, I was coming in real confident because I was like from the church. I was like, let's go. And they were like, no.
How many people were there?
It's probably 75.
Okay, 75 people.
I said, I'll never forget it. I said, my skin in the people ask me what race I am because my skin gets pretty dark in the summer, and I'm not white. I tell them I'm not white. I'm more like wheat. And then it was dead silent, dude. Don't laugh, dude. It was dead silent. And then I go, well, my mom's white, my dad's 9 grain. And then
Nothing?
no, dude.
How do you feel?
Why
Okay.
you make me tell this story?
How
dude?
do you?
Dang.
Because it's amazing.
Horrible.
Because you're so wildly
Horrible.
successful now.
Horrible.
Everybody has a path.
Yeah,
And if
yeah.
you don't have those moments where
Yeah.
you're completely stripped naked
Oh, man.
in front of the world, then you probably don't have the chops to go do
no.
what you do.
Fair. And Tim Hawkins told me, he was a comedian that I look up to a lot. He goes, you know that you're obsessed with it and you love it if you embarrass yourself that hard and you go, I'm going to do it again. And that's what I thought on the way. It was horrible. No one laughed. It was embarrassing. And the host has to kind of come up and roast you because that's his job. He's like, oh, it's comedy's not for everybody. Or like, oh, that was, whatever. He crushed me, which rightfully he should have. Because there's people in the crowd that are trying to have a fun night. And if it bombs, you got to mention it. And then on the way home, I go, oh, I got it. Because it's like telling someone how to drive a car if they've never seen a car. Because people ask me all the time, I'm trying to think about stand-up. I go, the East Room in Nashville, Tennessee, 8 p.m. Every Tuesday night, there's open mic. I go. And if you don't want to go, don't email me. It's every Tuesday. Comedian is an awesome job. It's an awesome job. I would imagine if you could play in the NBA, you would. I would. You would. Everybody would.
Damn
if
right.
you could drive, you would.
Yes, I would.
Yes, I would too, dude.
That's why, like, people, you're leading me down this path of Tebow.
Yeah.
Like, a great friend to me.
Yeah.
Someone I admire beyond
I think when I
words.
met him, I said I knew you, and he was like, "You cool with me?"
Way to name drop.
Let's go.
That's awesome.
I know
I
Marty
appreciate
Smith.
being the guy.
I know
Thanks,
Marty
man.
Smith.
Gosh,
I'm
I
cool
got
with Marty Smith.
I got a lot of
He
credit.
goes, let's go, dude. Yeah.
When he went to play baseball,
Yeah.
obviously he was ridiculed, vilified. What are
Sure.
you doing? You don't
Sure.
deserve this. You haven't this. You haven't that. If the New York Mets called me right now and they said, "Hey, Marty,
dude.
we want you to
Yes.
come to spring training. See ya."
Buy.
Yeah.
Buy everything. You want to play professional baseball? Somebody, and they say, "Oh, it's only because he's famous," or only okay.
Who cares why?
If somebody's, yeah, who cares?
Doesn't matter why.
Say, hey, you want to play baseball? I want to play like rec league baseball. I cancel my plans to play
Rec league
that.
hoops?
Dude. Yeah, dude.
I tried that the other day.
Yeah,
I got
play, of
roped into
course,
playing
dude. Yeah.
basketball tournament, man. I pulled
It's
my
not good.
groin like 8 points in,
Yeah, you
and
can't
it was
do
just
it,
like
yeah.
hobbling around like
Not
a
like how it used to be. Like,
man with a wooden leg.
yeah, it's if you're it kind of like if you have like kind of that like that kind of I don't know what's like the sail or it's going in the right direction. You have kind of it doesn't really twists and turns in your career they matter, of course, and when significant or less significant things happen, it's like, all right, but you're like, well, we're still.
Why do you have that?
I mean, this would probably be a little bit like I think I was watching I was at one of my shows one time in the I was before the show in the green room, and the green room overlooked the parking lot, and I saw all these people, 1,000 people waiting to get into my show, and they had their tickets, and they're with their husbands or wives or best friends, and they're so. These people had driven for hours, and I was still overcome emotionally. I go, I can't look at this because why I do it is I'm trying to give, truthfully and honestly, trying to give something to someone that I can never really give to myself. That's a little too.
No, it's not.
vulnerable,
I love it.
maybe.
Why can't you give that? So the answer is joy.
Yeah.
Why not?
I know. Dude, no one knows how much that means to people than me. You can't like, oh, it's just a comedy show. It's not, dude. It's not, man. People are depressed and have children that are going a different way and health issues. Like I know what that does for people, dude. I was at a show one time, and the girl she was standing and she had a cast on both of her legs and both of her arms. It cast, and there was a long meet and greet line. She met us, we took a photo, signed her cast and everything, and her mom emailed us and said, hey, my daughter is your favorite comedian, and she is in a wheelchair, and she got a degenerative bone disease or something, you're her favorite comedian, and she wanted to stand to meet you. And it was like,
Wow.
and she goes, she left the building skipping, and that was the happiest I ever saw her in her whole life. And that, I don't want to sound too spiritual or anything, because I do, we make money and we do. So we're like, oh, John, it's like, oh, yeah. I just got back from Myrtle Beach. I've made a significant amount of money. I don't want to sound like that, but I know what that does for people, and I think it was emotional for me to see that parking lot because I wished I was there, and I could never watch my show.
Why?
No, I could never be in the crowd. I guess I could. Let me think. The people were so excited. I don't know. Bo Burnham has a line in one of his songs. He's like, "Oh, I've been desperately trying to give you something I could never give myself," which is, I know what that does to. I do know because I'm in there too, and it does it like, it is, man. It's like a. Some of those athletes are probably people that you interview. It's kind of like a drug in some ways.
Of course it is. Man.
Oh yeah.
I mean, look.
Don't let them lie to you and say it's not. And for musicians too, it's like a.
There's no question. That's the juice.
Yeah, and the kids.
You don't start it for money.
No, you don't.
Start it for the juice.
And if anybody, yeah. And money was never. I go, I don't. It never. Money really never connected with me in terms of like a metric of
success.
Never. I wish it did, kind of. I don't know. I never really. I don't know.
So I don't mean to harp on it.
Well, I don't know if I answered your question. So
I'm extremely intrigued by whatever that void is. Where's the void originate, and what do you think might fill it? It's obviously something you've considered.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I know the comedy kind of started when we were just us Crist kids at the house. We were homeschooled, kind of sheltered, kind of just play in the woods, and we would go to church every Sunday. That was literally the only time we got to see other people. I don't know how to describe it. I mean, that was the first time out, right? We were just with us. And I remember, and I'm kind of one of 8 kids, and I love my parents to death. They do anything for me, but that was kind of overlooked. There's not a lot of attention in the house to go around. I remember these girls at church, like Jessica, Nikki, Patty. I remember their names, and they thought I was hilarious, man. Oh, man, they thought I was hilarious. And I would always think of things during the week to tell them, and I felt very...
Yeah, validated.
Extremely. And in kind of a world that I was kind of, I don't know, overlooked or maybe not really cared about. And they thought I was a god, dude. And I was like, I've been doing stand-up since I was 25, but I guess since I was 10, right? And I went to that well to get my needs met. And unhealthily, this got way too serious, but there's never an amount of people that could meet it, unfortunately. There's never an amount of likes on the internet or views or sold out shows that could be like, all right, I'm good. And you're a believer. I know what the answer's supposed to be, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. It's funny that you're saying all this because I think it's so relatable to so many people, and I think it's only gotten more toxic.
Oh, yeah.
Because of likes.
Because you can get it all day, every day.
So many people quantify their self-worth based on what some person or people they're never going to meet, never going to see, never going to interact with, either say about them or like or don't like. And we cannot, as human beings, take our self-worth on the good side or the bad side. We can't define ourselves by that.
Because you've been lauded and crushed.
Holy.
So have I.
Have I ever, sir?
So have I, dude.
And so have you.
And so have I, And I remember to our, I don't know what, like when when everything happened in my personal life, which if you want to get into it, you can Google it or whatever. But you had some kind of because your wife had come out to shows.
She did.
And
she loved you.
And we had kind of had some kind of relationship in that way. And you were like, I don't know what compelled you. Were like, I got to reach out to this guy. Because maybe you were like, I know what it's like to publicly be.
It wasn't that.
All right.
This is what it is. Every human being is flawed.
Yeah.
All of us. I don't care what you may see, what you may perceive. We're all flawed.
Yeah.
And all of us make mistakes.
Yeah.
And I don't like the prospect that a mistake could completely redefine someone when that person has a platform to be a light in the world.
Right. Yeah.
And maybe a mistake might dim that light, but it doesn't
Yeah.
extinguish it.
And you saw it on that end because you know what the brightness.
And
you're like,
I just was like, I said to Lainey, my wife, I said, I don't know how to get a hold of this dude.
Yeah.
It's going to be super weird. Like I don't, but I got to talk to him because getting real spiritual, like I love Luke 12:48, to whom much is given, much is required.
Yep. Yep.
You've been given a lot.
Yeah.
I've been given a lot.
A lot.
And a lot of requisite comes with that.
Yep. And that is, that's fair. See, we're like, oh, well, like, you know, Taylor Swift, can't she just go to the mall? No, she can't.
Never.
She can't. So you're like, but that seems unfair. Like that is, but it is, we kind of said, we signed up for this kind of.
We did.
Yeah. And so I remember when I was in rehab and they were like, hey, you can go, dude. You can go, you can just get an apartment in Phoenix and fish and you can, and you've been through hard times in your career where you go, hey, we can wrap this up. We can wrap it all up, right? We can wrap all of this up I go work at Lowe's, probably not Lowe's. I wouldn't know what to do there, but somewhere. I figure out. You can if you want. And they were like, hey, if we're going to continue here, then you got to take some responsibility for some things, and you're going to have to answer some questions, and you're going to have to face some difficult things. They go, that seems fair. That seems fair. And a lot of times I find myself in the same situation as you, is like, oh, Justin Bieber was walking out of and then he grabbed someone's cell phone and threw it on the ground, or like, he's a monster. I go, you got no idea what this guy is going through. And that's what you kind of see. I find myself taking the side of I wouldn't say celebrity, but the public figure.
It's like
every time.
So
I go, God.
I think about Simone Biles right now.
I was just going to say the same thing.
And the reason that I think about her is she's faced a lot of ridicule for being a quitter and all of that. I don't see it that way at all.
Yeah.
She felt like she was going to compromise her teammates' ability to succeed and potentially hurt herself. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, she showed up for them.
Right.
She was there.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I go back to empathy. We're all human beings.
Dude.
We don't look at our celebrities, entertainers, athletes like human beings.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's what everyone is.
Yeah.
They all have their insecurities. I'm not going to say most, and I shouldn't speak for other people. For so long, I was driven by ego-driven insecurity.
Yep.
And so I have so much empathy for it, and it goes back to, if you're being critical of her, imagine if it was your little girl.
Oh man, and you get
like, wow.
To say those, like I move towards. You know what's crazy? I think part of the rehabilitation process and the therapy does move me toward empathy very quickly. I remember I'm a big Hawks fan, and I was in Atlanta for the Hawks Sixers. And remember, what's his name? Their forward, the guy that got the yips. What's his name? The
For the
Sixers.
Hawks?
No, the Sixers. Not Joel Embiid.
Ben Simmons.
Ben Simmons.
I have tremendous empathy for
Yeah,
him.
all right, dude. So I remember being in there. Everybody's in there. We're like, boo, you suck. Or we were crushing him. And I was kind of walking home. I go, kid's 22. You know what I'm saying? Like, that kid's in his hotel with his Twitter. And I go, or like Antetokounmpo when he was shooting foul shots, 1, 2, and I go, this is kind of tough to morally justify. But you're like, it's competition, and I get all that, and I get all that. But
for Simmons, to me, it's another level because it's obviously so deeply entrenched in his psyche.
Markelle Fultz, the same type of thing. Like, these are.
I was at Game 7 in Philly when he gave up the dunk. The wide open dunk. I was in the building.
Yeah. And
it was like,
it makes you feel some kind of way.
I want to reach out to him too.
Yeah.
I want to call him too.
Well, you know what happened to me in rehab? What happened to me in rehab is, I told this story last night in my show. There was a bunch of people in there. You get a letter in rehab once once every 3 weeks. It's kind of like prison in that type of way, where you can't need nothing from the outside. You get a letter once every 3 weeks. About after a week or so of being in there, I get a letter. I get 2 letters. I get 4 letters. I get 10. Like, they were like, because no one knew who anyone was in there. And they were like, John, here's your mail. And this is like the steps that you had to go to find my phone number. You're like, well, let me ask my wife, who can probably DM whoever to get to something. It was very, but like, there was a school teacher in like Iowa that like, how did he get that
letter there?
Yeah, yes. But what I'm saying is, and he was like, I got a DUI when I was, 24, and what I'm saying is, everyone was so like, this makes me emotional, but they knew what I was. They didn't know me, but they knew that I was dying. They knew, and you knew that.
I did.
And you didn't know me. You didn't know my personal life, but you go, God, I see what I get. I bet I have to find him and tell him to like not kill himself first, and then encourage him, tell him I can help him, tell him I can relate, tell him, and that's what you did for me. And thousands of people did that for me. And I said last night at the show, I go, I gotta get better so I can go thank those people. So they kept me on earth. I don't want to, not you specifically, but like those people kept me literally on earth. And whatever you felt, and everybody that's listening to this, whatever you feel that way, DM Ben Simmons. Do it. Yeah. You think that's crazy? Say, hey, dude, I was at the game last night and I felt some kind of way about that. He reads it. I promise you, he reads it. Kim Kardashian reads her DMs. Maybe not from everybody, but if they like Taylor Swift is always talking about the Twitter on all of her songs about this guy. She sees it, yeah. And that's what people don't really understand is that. And I bet you've had to cover things journalistically against people that you love, and it's been hard to do.
Yeah, it's not easy.
I bet.
Yeah, it's not easy at all.
And I think people that covered me, some of them, articles that I read about me, I go, that's fair. That seems fair. It was critical, but I go, that seems fair.
Yeah, any of us can ever ask for is fairness and accuracy.
And
because if
that guy's gonna,
your teeth,
yeah.
And you might be so furious at that person for writing that, but if you're brushing your teeth and you're looking in the mirror, you go, yeah, he's right.
That's fair. And that's what for 95%, I go, as a guy that's performing in church that does it, he should be held to some kind of, that seems fair. That seems fair.
So I don't want to go too far down this tangent, but I don't know. I just want to share this one story about it. And this is one of the things that really made me think about your situation, because so many, especially men, we tend to take our identity from what we are, not who we are.
Yeah.
And when what we are is something in the public eye, that perpetuates itself.
Times 10.
Right. So I was at the Masters. I was covering the Masters in 2019. Stewart's heard this story before. Covering the Masters in 2019.
I think I know where the story's going, but yeah.
Tiger Woods is walking up the 18th fairway.
Yeah.
And he's going to win the Masters for the 5th time. And the place is unhinged. There are people all the way down 18, all the way down 9, all the way down 1. Tiger, Tiger, Tiger. Even the dudes on top of the scoreboard that place the placards in the Masters scoreboard are cheering this man. Because we're all not only witnessing history, we're in some small way a part of history. We're there.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
He taps in to win the tournament. His son Charlie runs into his arms.
Yep.
We're all instantly whisked to 1997 when he ran into his own father's arms.
Yep.
They are walking to the clubhouse to sign his card. All of the young stars in the game, Ricky Fowler, Justin Thomas, Rory McIlroy, Tony Finau, Brooks Koepka, all these guys that are playing the game because that's their hero, are there to congratulate him. All the guys who've already won green jackets are in that same line because they've just seen this.
Yeah.
I can't have my phone on the course.
Yeah.
It's the Masters.
Yeah. All right.
I'm feverishly, old school, writing these notes on
like
my
a caveman,
notepad like a caveman. I get tugged on the sleeve.
Yeah.
Hey, Marty, we need a minute.
Yeah.
What's going on? Guy says, we're Clemson University campus ministers. I said, oh, how you doing? He goes, we see ourselves in Tiger's victory. I said, how? He said, we're all capable of huge mistakes in this life.
Yeah.
But we're also all afforded the opportunity at redemption.
Everybody.
And I went, you have no idea how easy you just made my life.
That's just that. So everybody, you're like, is everyone cheering for the mistakes? We're not. Is everyone overlooking the maybe questionable? But we're not. Why was everyone so moved on that course, and why were you so moved to reach out to me? And why am I so moved to? Because we know how much comedy means to me. I know how much being a journalist means to you. You know how much golf means to Tiger. When you do something personally, whether you're selfishness or addiction or something, brings that down. It's sad. It's very sad. And I've seen it a million times since me. I go, man, the guy loves to, whatever, his temper got in the way, his drinking got in the way, something. You know how much I was put on this earth to tell jokes. I was. I believe you were put on this earth to tell people stories. The story about the guy, you probably don't remember this, but the guy that you got the wheelchair for that could go on the beach is like,
Chris Skinner, yeah.
God, dude, that's what you're put on earth to do. That's it. And then, why do you cheer so much for, why was everyone so moved by that, Tiger Woods? Even more so than if nothing would have happened to him. Why?
Well, I know Americans love a comeback story. We love a comeback story more than we love anything. We love to tear you down to shreds, and then we love to see you come right back.
And that's something to whatever the human
element. Yeah.
That they're fighting against, because everybody can relate, because everyone's fighting against whether it's public or private, fighting against their.
So relatable.
And some guy. Well, I mean, we saw the mugshot, dude, for Tiger. We saw it was horrific, dude, and horrific, and we all walked through all of that. Not walked through it with him. We didn't know him, but I guess watched it unfold, and then to see him start swinging again. To see him start hitting birdies, and then the Masters is coming, and you go, "Oh my God!"
Yeah,
dude.
when he won Atlanta at the end of the season in 2018.
Was that before that?
Yeah, it was like, holy cow! It's this sea of humanity. Rory McIlroy is walking down the 18th fairway with him, and people are running after him. Rory's like, "I'm checking out."
I remember that. Yeah. So if you said, like. If I said when I was out in rehab, I was in Wickenburg, Arizona, which is literally like a rodeo town. There's nothing there. And if I said, hey, you know what? I'm just gonna get an apartment here, just kind of play golf and manage my investments, and I'm gonna wrap it up. Why would that be so sad? If I decided to do that, it would be sad because you kind of like, I don't want to say the critics one, but or not. It's not even about that. I think it's about me personally. I'm throwing in the towel, and that everybody goes, no, dude, because we're all doing it. Everybody's trying to do it. We're all trying to do it, trying to keep it afloat or make it tomorrow a better day or do what you're put on this earth to do. And when someone says, I can't do it anymore. And that's every movie. Every movie is the guy said, hey, I can't do it anymore. And he goes, everybody makes a joke about those car theft movies. He goes, hey, man, one more. And he goes, yeah. He's like, oh, I got my family now. I live. He's like, dude, one more heist. How big is it? 10 million? Like, I'm back, dude.
I'm in.
I'm back, dude. I'm back. But it's something about that, and that's why I think, same with comedy, like, oh, it's a bunch of stupid jokes. But yeah, it's not. Oh, it's just a guy putting a little white ball into a cup. It's just a guy driving It's not, dude. It's not.
No, it's hope is what it is.
Yeah, and that's for it. But but badminton is not my thing. But like, I love watching golf, and it, like, you might have, through connection with your wife or through the videos that you've seen of mine, like, this guy has given me a gift, and my family, he's at Tiger Woods, dude, or LeBron James, or Tim Tebow, or you've given someone stuff. So I would be like, in kind of way, indebted to your contributions to my life. And if something happened to I go, I don't know Marty Smith part, I do now, but like, we gotta help him. We gotta find him. We gotta make sure he's. I think it's some of that, because Tiger Woods. I remember when the Falcons lost. I always go back to sports. When the Falcons lost in the Super Bowl to the Patriots, it did something to me, like, significantly, where my buddies, my high school buddies, we like kind of. It sounds stupid, dude. I remember the bunch of Atlanta journalists that I follow on Twitter. I DM'd them. I go, hey man, like, it sounds silly, but you're like, if someone doesn't know basketball, you're like, it's just a guy. I go, man, it's not though. It's not. And everybody has that thing for them. It's not sports is it for a lot of us, but what is it? Whatever psychology of what when Tim Tebow gets his whole team in there, we will never.
Yeah, man.
No one will work harder.
Nothing like that, dude.
I don't know why. Do you know why?
Nothing like that, man.
Why? It just gets you. Let's go, dude. I like watch that Any Given Sunday speech. The speech in Miracle. There's a couple of them that just iconic. Like
Coach Gaines in Friday Night Lights. The perfect speech in Friday Night Lights. Come on, man.
I mean, that does something. Maybe is it a male thing?
It may be testosterone problem.
Yeah, it might be.
But I think it all goes back to hope. That's all we want. We want hope.
Yeah.
And those speeches.
Yeah.
Or watching savants do what they do is hope.
Yeah, and you know what? If you watch if you play the lottery, the billboard is like, the Mega Millions is at 37 million.
You played?
I don't play, but I see it's right by my house all the time. And somebody was explaining that. He goes, well, if you buy it on Sunday and the drawing is on Saturday, you're buying hope.
Yep.
You are.
That's it.
You're buying 6 days of hope. And if that costs you $10, it's about the odds of it are
not good.
But maybe. And what they're like of like a lot of dopamine like receptors in the brain is when you that, and the dopamine when you have a feeling that you're going in the right direction. So when you everybody's addicted to golf. I'm addicted to golf. When you hit a ball and it's hooking and it's getting better or a putt and you're like, it's like,
yeah, for sure.
You're like, why is that so addicting?
Straight in the veins, man.
Yeah. It's like that. It's like you do a 20-foot and it bends, and it's the best feeling on earth. And so when they say in competition, you're down by 3 touchdowns and it's the fourth quarter and there's 8 minutes left and you somehow get a pick 6. Everybody on that bench.
Yep.
And that's it.
Hope.
That's it. You're like, oh, what? And I got chills talking about it. Now, it may not happen, but the one that is coaching, skill, and momentum is in sports. So if you down by the Hawks, we down by 20, but we knew we were good. Conversely, the Falcons are always up, and they have this thing where they're probably going to come back, and that's not a joke. And so when you get a little hit of something on the internet. It's like 150 likes, 200, 300. You're like, oh, I might be going in there. And the brain, unfortunately, doesn't know like right or wrong or morality or something. So when you could be protesting and looting or doing what it wants you to, or if the guy trashing Taylor Swift, he's getting the dopamine rush too because he's getting the attention. So it's a very, very, very primal explanation of it, but you're like,
I live it every day.
Yeah.
I think about those. That's the space I live in. My friends just think I'm a super weird SOB.
What do you track for your, like, if you're unhealthy, what metric would you track for your worth?
Well, I do my very best not to read mentions because I'm insecure, and I don't want to let them dictate my day.
Yeah, they do,
and I'm not strong enough to not let them dictate my day.
Yeah. So they said you're biased towards a fan base or a person or something.
Well, I get that every day. Okay. I'm biased towards Alabama, Clemson. I mean, those two specifically.
Yeah.
But that's just because I'm there all the time. And my rebuttal is always the same.
Yeah.
I go where they're good.
I go where they're good. Yeah. You're not biased against Marshall. You're like, I never covered a Marshall game, dude. No disrespect. Marshall fans are
Marshall fans are coming after us right now.
Or I don't know why I chose that. Sorry.
What was it like for you the first time you went to perform when you came back?
Oh, man. It was, well, I didn't know if I could do it. It's similar to the first time ever. And they were gonna, like, well, a lot of the feelings were kind of like when most of the feelings were when my agent was like, so when I was in rehab, probably 3 months in, my agent called and he was like, speaking of like hope, he goes, hey, I got, all the clubs want to book you. And I was like, what? Of course, I'm very in my own, like, because it was the day everything happened, I left my phone and went to rehab. So I didn't know, I had to understand that my career was over. What I thought at the time, it wasn't. But I remember he goes, I was in dark, and I had supported my parents and my family. That was most important. But career, that was, I thought about it. And he goes, I just want to let you know that. And I go, yeah, but that's probably, no one's going to come. Like, maybe you're just trying to make me feel good. And then Zany's, the comedy club here in town, was the first show I did back. And I put it on sale, and it sold out in about 20 minutes. And that was when it make you feel some kind of way, man, because that now Tiger Woods, everyone knew about him. Before it was like a secret, and not to compare my situation to his, he's way more popular than me. I wouldn't, but youth have this thing that kind of, if all these people knew the truth about me, everyone would hate Marty Smith if they knew.
Right.
That kind of whispers to everybody, I think. If they knew the truth, all these people are here, sold out, they love you, but if they knew you were X, they would all hate you. And now everyone knew about me, and they showed up, and they give you a standing ovation to walk out on, not left when you came. Oh man, that's something that I if you were like, if you're like people ask me, am I still like, because the Christian community like came after me pretty hard, or like, are you still a Christian? I go, dude, I'm way more of a Christian now than I was before, way more, because that was like, no one should, like that love that you showed me, they were like, this guy doesn't deserve it, this guy doesn't, but he, and I think this conversation coming full circle is, I just wish somebody was like picked me as a kid, or said, hey dude, are you good? What do you need? I got you. As a kid, I'm talking about as a kid, like, I went to private school. My parents put me in private school, and I was kind of no one helped me. I remember no one was like, they were like, you need a book cover for your books. And I was like, I don't know what a book cover, and I'm out here alone, and like, I don't have any money. And like, you're just like, I need someone to be like, dude, I got you, dude, I got you. That's it. And that, I feel like all of everything I've done since then is people be like, and I constantly would be like, yeah, but dude, or Ben Simmons, like, yeah, but dude, I missed the show, or Tiger Woods, but yeah, think about he wants to, like, God is like, you're good. And other people are like, you're good.
Yeah.
And that's tough to receive. But if I was like, imagine what you would have felt if you were like, hey, I got John's phone number, and I said, hey, dude, I can't.
Yeah.
You're like, I want to encourage. I go, I can't. I'm too damaged. You'd be like, I'm gonna go out there and tell him.
Shake you.
Be like, dude, we love you. But you're so like, if you didn't have a supportive family or people in your life, and you got into those mentions and lived in there, it would take you down.
Oh, no doubt.
Into quitting.
No question.
It would, and probably very quickly.
Yeah. Isn't it wild?
God,
this got really like psychological.
Yeah,
but
we got.
do you understand what
like,
it's
can we
going
talk about like Alabama? Like,
do you understand what it's going to do for people though?
I mean, that's what I've been trying to tell everybody.
It's going to. Speaking of hope, this conversation is going to give so much hope. And how fascinating is it that little John, who just wanted, hey, I got you.
So, yeah.
All those people at that club down the street,
I got you.
after you were stripped naked,
They were
said, I got you.
And they didn't know. They don't know me personally. We didn't know Tiger Woods. What's crazy is I was always wanting for people, and as an adult, they would teach you in therapy. You know who that little boy, John, that was like, you know who can show for him now? Me, adult John. And I remember like my buddy Isaac, one of my best friends. I was like on the road. The road's tough, you know. The road, it'll. I don't know what to say. That you're like, yeah, dude, I got it. Those like, I don't know what the demons are, or I don't know if you're spiritual or not. Something, if you go out on a stage in you report in front, and you go back and you close that hotel room door, and it's just you, and you trying to, an hour earlier, somebody give me a bottle of water, somebody get me and now you trying to get a bag of chips from the front desk, and they're like, what's your room number? And you're like, I don't have my key.
I don't know, yeah.
God.
Right.
And I was having a tough time, and I struggled with depression and all that kind of stuff. And I was, maybe the show hadn't gone well or whatever. And my best friend, I go, dude, I'm having a hard time, man. I'm having a hard time. And you're like, that's all you can do. As the adult, I got you, dog. I got you, bro. You can say that. And you got friends that care about you enough to be like, yeah, we got you, bro. What do you need? You want me to come? You want me to drive there? You want me to be on the phone with you? You want me to check in the morning? And you don't let those people show up for you. And me and you maybe have a more supportive core than maybe a lot of people, but like, I go to AA meetings all the time, and they're just strangers, and they'll be like, I'm having a hard time. And everybody be like, we got you, dog. And that's the human, I don't know what that is really, Christian or not, because that's everywhere, I think. And when you see somebody maybe getting, you can relate to them, and you go, man, Sam Hunt, I was in rehab when Sam Hunt got a DUI and just getting crushed, or Morgan Wallen getting crushed, or, it happens. And we were at Kid Rock's, that bar, it's downtown Nashville. And we were just hanging out, and the main Saturday night singer was not there. I go in there a pretty good amount, and long-haired guy, great, and he's not there. And somebody goes, I go, where is he? He goes, he's in rehab. And I go, what do you mean he's in rehab? He's like, he's in rehab. And I go, I went to one of the bartenders, like, can you give me his address? I want to talk to. I don't know him. Why? It's the same thing you felt with me. Like, is a guy that he's trying to.
Look, man.
I don't know what. I don't know. I don't really know the answer, but
I reached out to Sam Hunt.
Yes, so did I, dude.
And the reason is because I hate the prospect of someone feeling alone.
Yep. That's what happened to me, dude.
Much less when they're broken.
Yeah.
That's when they gotta know.
And they were like, that's the guy in Iowa that found, all right, I'm gonna somehow find his agent, his management, somebody let me know what to play. And then there's like the rehab place house, there's 7 different rehab, and it's confidential. You can't call them and say, is John Crist there?
Yeah.
And so they were like, somehow he's got things to do during his day. He was like, I
gotta figure it out.
And I kind of gap in my life to just the rest of your life, just do that. And now I can do it on a macro schedule by showing up and sharing I don't want to sound like my show is this. It's not it's a comedy show.
It's funny.
Yeah, it's funny. It's very, very funny. But I guess I can do at a smaller level what Tiger Woods did by continuing to do the thing I was gifted to do.
No doubt.
And that you're like, you move towards like Simone Biles. You go like, man. Or the girl at the Australian Open, same thing. Or like, and and a lot of people. I want to say before we end here that Morgan Wallen or Sam Hunt or myself, or a lot of people have a lot of support, and a lot of people don't. There's some people that don't, and they were in the darkness, and they had nobody, and no one reached out to them. So does that make sense? I don't know if it's fair to say that.
That's why kindness, like, we live in a world now where everyone postures so much. Kindness wins.
Yeah, always.
It just does.
Always. Yeah, always.
It's not always easy, but it's always right.
It's always, yeah, and you're like, yeah. And at the end, there's everybody's human. We were in rehab. I remember we were about to get out of there, and I go, all right, more horrific stuff is going to happen to us. Hopefully not of this, but death, sickness, loss of jobs, loss of relationships. I'm 37, the bad stuff is going to happen to you, bro. It is. So it's not necessarily avoiding heartache or pain, and like that. Horrific things have happened to me since I've gotten out, but it's like, I'll be all right. I'll be all right. And you know how much I feel like I do it all the time. I see people on television, and we're connected with other people that are public figures in a lot of ways, so we
For sure.
can, but I mean, in rehab, they're like, the greatest thing, if I'm in my own head or in my own struggle, in my own just issues, like that comedy club is 2 blocks from my house, and I know I can go down there any night of the week, and those openers, those younger comics, I can do. It was a great set, man, and I know how much that means, dude.
Yeah, man.
And I know how much that means that you can go help somebody, and that's the way I can help more than probably giving a guy $5 at the gas station. By my influence and your influence, you've helped by sharing my story. You have a platform. You can be of service. And I go down there and be like, hey, dude, I never seen you before. I never heard of you, but I watched your set and I think you're great.
Boom. Yeah.
Boom. And that's all I ever wanted somebody to do to me. You kind of hit this. I was reading this book about you going up one mountain and then you fall off. And then there's another mountain up here, or you can go back up, try to get back up the fame, the likes, the money one. That's the one everyone first tries to climb, that one, because we don't know any better. You get knocked down. There's this new one with what we're talking about here, with empathy and looking out for others and using your gift that God gave you. And you're in the middle. You're kind of looking up both. And I go up the other one sometimes, still.
Me too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
you'd
like,
be lying if you say you weren't.
For sure.
Yeah.
Because in so many ways, from a societal perspective, that's what is considered success. When in fact, our success, and we've both been blessed there, should not be it's not our purpose. It's a platform for our purpose.
Yeah.
And it took us a long time to realize that.
But yeah, the struggle. The struggle to put that in context will be the rest of your life.
No doubt.
Like when you got your new contract, you're like, yeah,
no
of course,
doubt, man.
Yes, of course. And that, I think I've as a believer to not like shame yourself for that. For me, wanting to have a sold out show, that's that God put that to be successful, to win. That's everybody, dude. And to not be like, oh, I'm just like, I kind of said at the beginning, oh, I'm just out here to yeah, but I'm here to win. We're both, I guess.
No question. You don't walk out there on that stage if you don't think you're the
here
best
to win,
man in
bro.
town.
You got to be delusional, and you got to be delusional, 100% delusional to go on stage, and then 100% realistic when you come off, because you got to look up, hey, that was I got to fix this. I got to fix this. This joke needs to be moved here. But you got to be insane to do it.
I've kept you so long.
Good, dude. Yeah.
I mean, let me ask you one more thing, because I was interested in this.
Yeah.
The like writing or preparatory process.
All right.
Because y'all sets are long.
Yeah.
How do you?
Oh yeah, you do like 30 seconds, and you got to remember 2 names and a.
Yeah.
No, but not to joke, but you got to remember.
Yeah.
He won the '97 Heisman. There were 2001 World.
And that's hard.
Yes, it's very
That's
hard.
why.
Yeah.
How do you do 30 minutes straight or whatever it is you do?
I mean, well, I think number one, like I write a lot of scripts for like our sketches, and I send them out to the other actors to like memorize the lines, and I never have to. I live in this brain all day. I live in this brain all day. I don't have to. Now the kind of the beats of where like the punchlines are, I kind of a little bit, but if you do like when you start comedy, they give you 2 minutes. The first time I did comedy, they give you 2 minutes, and I go, all right, I'm going to tell the whiter wheat joke. I'm going to tell the whiter wheat joke. I'm going to tell the Sam's Club joke, and I'm going to tell the sports joke, right? So you're like, and then a crowd will, if it's joke, they're loving the premise, you kind of dig around in there a little bit more. If they're not, then you kind of just move on to the next. But at this point, I'm working on my 4th hour of material, and I've been doing it. So a good comic could write 30 minutes a year, maybe, of good A+ like TV ready material. 30 minutes is a lot.
It's a long time to be funny.
Yeah. So if you go to, but if I'm in Myrtle Beach last weekend, I'm not going back to Myrtle Beach for 16 months. Yeah. Because I don't want to have the same show. So hopefully over the time it'll be a new show. But if you saw me in Myrtle Beach and you see me in Toledo this week, it'll probably be
similar. Yeah.
Very similar. Now there's be things about it that'll be new, but I'm trying to like a new premise. I was trying to think of a joke about how, if you eat like an animal, like that animal died for you. You eat a chicken sandwich. Say, what are you doing with your day to honor that animal? And I go, this is a stupid joke, but I go, in heaven, there's that cow walking around. Like, what did you do? He's like, Michael Jordan, the '89 finals, he had a steak dinner. That was me, bro. That was like, so, and he's like, hey, chicken, like, what did you do? He's like, well, I went to some lady that drove a Tesla and wrote a blog about canceling Dr. Seuss. Or like, she's like, it's a waste of, it's a joke, but it's like, it's a waste of like, you want to go to something significant. So the joke is like, you do it once, and people kind of related to the Michael Jordan, like, I get it, but the punchlines weren't. So you maybe need to change that example to something else, or maybe make an example of my life, or say, hey, what are you eating? What are you eating? You're eating a chicken sandwich. What are you going to do the rest of your night? So you don't know where you just, like some of the most iconic things in history have happened when somebody ingested like the animal's got to be proud. So anyway, the joke, you do it once. If the crowd, like, you'll know if they know what you're talking about. Like have you ever been driving down the street and seen that cyclist and want to be like, like, everybody relates to that because they're like, oh, okay, this is ripe for, everybody knows about the prescriptions, the side effects are worse than the thing. You don't have to be a comedian to be like, so if you start,
something people think about every time.
And you're not a comedian, you don't even, that's like a very surface level comedy joke. Like, everybody would connect to that, and then you get deeper and deeper and deeper, and then they build off of. I mean, I wrote the things down in my phone on the way over here that you saw that you're like, I got to talk about that.
Well, man, thank you.
Awesome, man.
Just amazing time, and I didn't know where it was going to go.
Me neither. I forgot about you calling me in rehab, dude. I forgot about that. I knew that your wife had come out to shows, and I saw them after the Carowinds or something. Was it the Carowinds?
They were down there somewhere, yeah.
It was one of the.
They saw you, like, thinking Columbia, South Carolina. I think they saw you at Carowinds.
It was like an amusement park.
Yeah.
I remember because this is a joke. Speaking of how do you write jokes, so that was when Cam Newton was in Charlotte, and this was it near there, that amusement park.
Yeah, it was right. I mean, it's 10 miles south of downtown.
Okay, all right. So I remember this was, I don't know, 10,000 people. It's one of those. They call it a shed, where it's 1/3 covered and then it's lawn.
Amphitheater kind of deal.
And so I was there. I remember Aaron Weber, my opener. And I explained this joke to him. I was like, hey, can you come, or after I do this joke, come side stage with a bottle of water. And I explained the whole thing. And I go, oh, good to see you, Charlotte, man. I'm exhausted out here, man. I'm thirsty. I was like, somebody throw me a bottle of water. And I had Aaron Weber airmail it over my head. I go, oh, Cam Newton's here. And
Joint went crazy.
Oh my goodness, it went crazy. That's like a thing that you have literal, like, oh my, this is gonna murder, dude.
In Charlotte, that is the best joke you could tell.
At the time. And also, I bet if I would do that if Cam Newton was there, he would think that's funny. I got jokes about like Tim Tebow, Joel Osteen, Barack Obama, and our rule is if your agent told you that person was coming and you would take that joke out, then that's not a joke you should be doing anyway.
Yep.
And if I would like the president's correspondence dinner, if Cam Newton was there, I don't know him personally, but I would imagine if Tom Brady about like, oh, deflate the football, he would laugh at that. And probably 99 times out of 100, the word does get back to that person, and they always message like, dude, that's the funniest thing I've ever seen. Now, and so you're like, you have that kind of, I knew that joke was gonna murder, dude. And that's the gift that you're like, dude, I don't know. Yeah, I'm happy to pass that along to people, and you see people laughing and having a good time. That's the best, man.
Thank you.
You got it,
Amazing stuff.
Awesome.
I love your spirit.
Thank you, brother.
I appreciate you being so vulnerable.
Hey, fall's coming up, baby.
And we have now had a therapy session for everybody listening, which is awesome.
Everybody's going to be crying now. Yeah, it's all right.
That's all right. I like
it.
Guys, wow. I'm rarely rendered speechless. That's about as close as I get. I can't describe to you how much I enjoyed that conversation. I can't describe to you how hard it is for people to go to the depth that John just went with us, to share your failures and the lessons learned from those failures and what it's like to come out the other side, and to have tremendous empathy for other people who might be going through things, because all of us are going through something. All of us are managing something. I won't speak for everybody, but I know for me, there's a lot of pieces of me that I don't particularly like and that I'd rather not y'all see. And so for him to be that raw is the word about those pieces of himself and how he's working every single day to try to reconcile those was fascinating for me. And quite frankly, it was humbling that he'd be willing to share that with me and with us. I did not know until today when we did that interview what it meant to him when I reached out to him when he was going through a hard time. I felt led in that moment. Lainey loves his work. She thinks he is absolutely hilarious, and she's right, he is. And when he had a hard time, I felt led immediately to reach out and let him know that this is not the end of the line. This is not over. This is going to become a vehicle for you to share a deeper piece of yourself with that unbelievably massive following that you've accrued based on talent and hard work. And now he's out the other side of it, and that's exactly what he's doing. You heard him say it right there. I'm still processing it, even as we speak here together, that was the interview that we did. Because as I said there off the top, I didn't know what to expect, but what I got was so much better and more meaningful to me, and hopefully to you guys, than what I expected. If you enjoyed this, please tell John. Reach out to him on social media. You heard him say it there in the interview. DM these guys. They're reading it. Reach out to them on social media. You have a direct vehicle to share light. And as much as I hate so much of social media, because I feel like we tend to take what is said there to and about us as gospel when that's not the case. But there is an opportunity for light in it. And if you enjoyed what you heard there from John, please reach out to him and to people in your life that you may feel like, hey, they might be going through a hard time. Because that phone call or that text message or you getting in the car and driving over there and talk to them might be the difference in them feeling fulfilled and validated and wanted and needed versus them feeling like they're on an island alone and that they don't have any hope. You can be that hope. I hope we were a little bit of hope for you guys today. It certainly was for me. Thank you so much for listening. Please subscribe, rate, and review. Tell all your friends if you're getting fulfillment and joy out of this platform, because we are. Everybody involved in it here at Outsider. Thank you so much. This is the Marty Smith Podcast at Outsider Studios. We appreciate you guys. Have an amazing day.